Hi, so how do you EQ a track? How do you decide on how much low end there should be in the bass track, how smooth the hi-hat should sound, how much snap there should be in the snare, and how fat you should make the guitars? Well, if you have any experience in audio engineering at all, you're probably going to say, well, that depends. It depends on how the track was recorded, which other tracks are in the mix, which sound you are striving for, which artistic vision you have for the mix, etc. But according to the company that made the Ceilings of Sound plugin, there are some guiding principles that we can use to EQ a track. So let's have a look. Let's go. So let's start by having a look at the website of this company called AYAIC, I think you pronounce it. And basically they have two plugins at the moment. One is called Mix Monolith, which is an automatic mixing system that allows you to level your tracks. But the plugin that we're going to talk about today is Ceilings of Sound Pro, which according to their website is the first equalizer to use the spectrum of noise to drive the equalization process. It's currently on sale for $69 instead of the regular $249. And there's a testimonial of Butch Vig on their website, who of course engineered and produced Garbage, Nirvana, Foo Fighters and many more. And that plugin basically works on the basis of the assumption that you can always divide the spectrum of any sound into one or more noise profiles, brown, pink or white noise, or various variations of those noise profiles. And you can use those noise profiles and variations as the basis for EQing your sound. Sounds vague? Let's have a look in Cubase. So this is the Cubase project of a new song of my band The Wash that I'm currently working on. It's called On My Way, but it will not be released for a while. But you'll get a sneak preview of it now then. And this is the vocal track. It was recorded with some light compression and EQ. But apart from that, there's only some comfort reverb on there. And this is the current vocal sound.
Can't stop moving, I can't stop grooving, celebrating life, we're not for less time I'll be gone, but our love will never die.
Now let's put the Ceilings of Sound plugin on there. And as you can see, there's quite a few controls on this plugin, but I'm not going to do a deep dive today. I'm just going to show you the basic principles and I'm curious how you feel about those. So the first thing you typically do is capture the spectrum of the sound that you want to EQ. So let's play the vocal again.
Can't stop moving, I can't stop grooving, celebrating life, we're not for less time I'll be gone, but our love will never die. Oh.
Okay, it stays relatively constant now, so let's freeze it. And the next step in this plugin is typically that you auto-generate the ceiling of this spectrum. So let's do that as well. And as you can see, the spectrum has now been divided into multiple segments between what they call elbow points, because these points on this red line are movable. And the lines between these points are actually based on the spectrum of a certain noise. For example, if I click on this point, you can see that the line up to this point is based on the white noise spectrum. If I click here, you can see that this line over here is based on a minus 7.5 dB per octave noise spectrum. The next segment is based on a brown noise spectrum, etc. Now they also have noise guides on the right side over here. For example, this is what the spectrum of brown noise would look like, which is typically a bit darker because there's a lot of low-end energy and less high-end energy. You have white noise, which is flat for all frequency ranges. And you have pink noise, which is sort of in between. And what typically works well for vocals if you EQ them towards a minus 4.5 dB per octave spectrum. So let's select that. You can see it's somewhere between brown and pink noise here. So let's pick up the red line over here, put it over this line. And let's change the ceilings towards this line. Now, if you change it too much, I feel it doesn't really sound very well. Also, if you put like the very high frequency on that line, it sounds much too sharp. Maybe this one can still move a bit up, but then we have to pull these down again. So I've now changed the ceilings of the spectrum that it measured. And I can now say conform spectrum to ceiling. If I click that, you can see that it actually generated an EQ curve, this blue line over here, which changed the spectrum of the vocal to be according to the ceilings line here. Yeah, so I can also pick up this white line and you can see that it now resembles the red line and therefore is also on this minus 4.5 dB per octave slope. So let's have a listen to this vocal now.
Can't stop moving, I can't stop grooving, celebrating life, we're not for this time I'll be gone, but our love will never die.
Okay, I feel that's a bit too much EQ, and that's probably because I changed the points up here a bit too high, so let's relax that a little bit. Let's again conform to ceiling, and let's see what we get now.
Can't stop moving, I can't stop grooving, celebrating life.
Let's compare it with and without.
Can't stop moving, I can't stop grooving, celebrating life, we're not for this time I'll be gone, but our love will never die. Oh, 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 oh.
Well, to me it definitely sounds more towards how you would EQ this vocal to sound in a mix. It sounds more edgy, has more high end, probably easier to cut through a thick arrangement, and I've basically been EQing just with my eyes so far, of course. And another advantage, of course, if you've been using this a bit more, that it's a very nice way to get a very consistent vocal sound. And you can get that consistent independent of the recording, independent of your ear fatigue or whether you have a bad day or maybe have a cold so that your hearing is affected. If you EQ it towards a certain noise spectrum, the vocal will basically always sound the same. Now, of course, I understand there's also adapting the vocal to the mix, maybe cutting it out a little bit here and there to not interfere with an instrument, or maybe boosting it here and there to make sure that it's not affected by a certain instrument track. But then again, vocals are usually king, right? So it's usually the other way around, that you EQ your instruments around the vocal and not vice versa. Let's check out another example using one of their presets. Because this is a guitar track in that same song, let's first listen to it without any EQ. Again, no processing apart from my usual end console to boost the level a bit. And let's put ceilings of sound on there and let's measure the spectrum. Pretty consistent now, let's freeze it. Now we can, of course, again auto-generate the ceiling, splitting up this frequency spectrum into noise profiles as well, and then shape it towards one or more of these noise guides here. But they also have presets. And let's see what they have for guitar. Well, there's many. Let's, for example, choose, well, let's see how this sounds with 80s Scorpion rock. Now you see that the ceiling line now changed from what was measured towards a line that's coming from the preset, because if you overlay this, you can see that it's no longer the same. It does resemble it quite much, so that's usually a good sound if you use a preset that actually fits your sound. But again, you can now say conform spectrum to ceiling, and you can see that there's now an EQ inserted over here, which puts the white line almost exactly on top of the red ceiling line. So let's listen to the differences again. I'll start with ceilings of sound enabled, and then I'll disable it and switch a couple of times. Yeah, so the sound without EQ now sounds really dark and muddy, and the sound with the EQ definitely sounds more edgy and more like how you would probably hear it in a mix. Now, before we're going to look at the next example of applying this on a full mix on the mix bus, if you like this video or find it useful at all, please give it a big thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm so that it gets shown to more people. Subscribe to the channel and ring the little bell icon if you want to get notified when I publish another video. If you are really enjoying my content, you can also consider using the super thanks button below the video, or if you're planning to buy anything at one of these stores, I have many affiliate links in the description, and if you click one of those links before you buy anything at that store, I will get a small commission without any additional cost to you, which really helps me to keep making these videos for you. But now let's get back to ceilings of sound on the full mix. And the same mix project, and let's put ceilings of sound on the stereo out, which is my mix bus. And let's start by listening to the full mix of this track and measuring the spectrum at the same time. Yeah, seems pretty stable now. Let's auto-generate the ceiling again. So now we have the red line of all the various noise profiles over the whole spectrum of this track. And for a track like this and a full mix, we probably want to go more towards a brownish spectrum. So let's put that line in there. And as you can see, the red line is already very much on top of the spectrum line here. Maybe not so much in the low end. So let's adjust that a little bit. Then we need to lower these lines again over here. Put them on the spectrum line like this. Let's generate an EQ by conforming the spectrum to the ceiling. So it really bumps up the low end, takes out some of the low mids. Let's listen to the difference. First without and then with the ceilings of sound EQ. Yeah, so was that an improvement? What do you think? For me, it added a bit of muddiness, which I did not particularly enjoy, but maybe you hear it differently on your speakers, so let me know. And how do you feel about mixing this way in general? Can a plugin like Ceilings of Sound help maybe to get an initial sound after which you're going to sculpt it more as required in the mix? Or can you more easily get a consistent sound just by using your ear and your existing EQ techniques? Now, if you want to check out this plugin, I'll put a link in the description. It's not an affiliate link, by the way. And as always, make sure to check it out on your system before buying anything so that you're really sure that it will work for you and that it's something worthwhile. Now, I did experience a few freezes with Cubase 14 when I was moving the noise spectrum line, but maybe that's just on my system or it's related to the relatively new Cubase 14. But if you get the same thing, let us know in the comments as well. So we all know that it might be a structural issue at this moment. Now, if you're really into EQing and EQ techniques, and if you're a mixer, you should be, then I also have a great video about how to use a 1073 style EQ on the snare to make it sound really nice. Tip by Andrew Sheps. So check it out over here, enjoy, and see you soon.